What's up everyone, welcome back. Now that we've been able to give our users access to our application by providing them with tokens, we are going to be implementing a way of limiting access to those users who do not have tokens. So what shall happen is whenever a user is making a request to some protected endpoints in our API, they'll need to provide their token within an authorization header. And this is where HTTP Bearer Authentication comes in. So when passing our token, we want to go ahead and provide our token in the form of bearer and then the token. So they'll give the word bearer as the scheme, and then our token shall be the set of credentials that they will provide to access our endpoint. And basing on that, we shall decode our token and then carry out any other forms of validation or authorization that we may need within our app. To do this, we're going to go within our auth folder. We're going to create a new file and we're going to call it dependencies.py. So inside our dependencies, we're going to begin by importing the special class that is going to allow us to carry out our HTTP Bearer Authentication. So that is going to be from FastAPI.security shall import our HTTP Bearer class. And this HTTP Bearer class is going to be the special class to allow us get to protect an endpoint and make it only be accessed when someone provides their token in the form of bearer and then the token. So the way we use it is by creating an instance of this class and then providing it as a dependency within the path handler of that specific function. And once we've been able to get that, then what we shall do is to access the HTTP authorization credentials, and using those credentials shall give us access to the credentials scheme and the credentials, which is going to be our token in that case. So let's go ahead and be able to do that. So I'll just come right here and then we shall create a class which we're going to call our JWT Bearer. Now I'm just simply going to come and call this the access token bearer because it's going to be one to allow us to validate our access token. So I'll just come right here and say this is going to be our access token bearer, and what this class is going to be is a child class or one that's going to inherit from the HTTP Bearer class. What I'm going to do is to pass this for now, and we shall make use of it to protect all those endpoints we are going to access with our access tokens. So we shall go to our routes for books because those are the ones that to carry out CRUD on our book resources, and we're going to simply go ahead and protect them. So the way we're going to protect them is by first of all importing our class. I'll say from our source.auth.dependencies, we shall import our access token bearer. And once we've got our access token bearer, now create the object out of that class. So I'll just come right here and say security, or let's just say let's just actually just call it the access token bearer. So I'll just come right here and say this is going to be our access token bearer, and this is going to be an object of type access token bearer. Once we've got access to this object, then we shall provide it as a dependency to our path handler. So what we're going to do is to go within our path handler for getting all books, and then we shall provide another parameter which is going to be our, so let's just call it security, or let's just call it credentials, which is our user details. So in this case, our user details are going to be first of all authorization credentials, just like we saw in the other example, but it will be a dependency from the object that we created out of that class. So this is going to be our access token bearer. So we need to format this so that we make things a little bit more organized. So once we've got that, then that marks this as a protected endpoint. In fact, if we try to access it, then we shall see that it's going to require us to provide our token. So I'm going to go ahead and save, and when I save, when you head over back to our RESTful right here, when you try to get all books, for now we can get them without having to authenticate, but when we provide this dependency right here, we're going to need to provide our authorization header for us to go ahead and make this request. So to do that, we're going to go within our headers, and then we shall add an item, and this is going to be our authorization header. So I'll come right here and say authorization, And our authorization will have a value. So our value is going to be, in this case, bearer, and then the token. In this case, our token is going to be the access token that we got from our login request. So I'll come right here where we got our token pair, create a new access token, and then I'll copy our access token right here. Then I'll copy it, and then that's what I'll provide to get all our books. So I'll just provide it, and then you can have access to our books. So that is just one basic way of us protecting our books. But just in case we need to carry out any other forms of authorization or any other forms of protection, what we need to do is to go ahead and override that class so that we can check for other things or other criteria that we may use to allow access to a specific endpoint. So let us go ahead and look at how we can do that. When you head over back to our code within our dependencies, when you check the source code for our HTTP Bearer class, we shall notice that this is going to have the dunder init method as well as the call method. Now the call method is going to be the main method that's going to allow us to access our credentials and carry out whatever we need to do in forms of authorization. So what you can see here is it works in a way that it gets the authorization header that we provided and then splits it into the scheme, which is the bearer part of our authorization header, and then the credentials. So the credentials in this case are going to be the token, just like we see right here. After doing that, it will check if we have not yet provided those, and then we raise not authenticated. So in case we delete this and try to make the request again, of course we shall see that we are not authenticated. And if they exist, then it will go ahead and check if the bearer is valid, and then it will return invalid authorization credentials. So that's just how it works. But in case we need to add other checks, then we need to go ahead and override that method. So for us to do that, I'll close this. What we're going to do is to first of all redefine the dunder init method of this class. So we shall just come right here and say def dunder init, and in this case we are going to provide self as well as one. So this is going to be one parameter or one argument that's going to be created with these objects, and that is going to be the auto error. So I'll just come right here and say auto error. So our auto error is going to simply be an attribute to this class that's going to determine the behavior of this class when an error occurs. So when you have an error, FastAPI is going to return that error. But in case we set this to false, then FastAPI is going to not return that error, but rather provide for us none as the return value of that specific error. So if an error occurs, we are getting the error in case auto error is true, and in case we do not get the error, then none is what we're going to get. So what I'm going to do is to set this to true so that we can get the real error that has happened, and then we shall just simply go ahead and override the init method. So we shall say super.init. So this is going to call the init method of our parent class, which is our HTTP Bearer class. So we shall say dunder init, and in this case we shall go ahead and set our auto error. So this is going to be our auto error. So once that is done, then we're going to go ahead and override the dunder call method. So we shall just come here and say async def, and in this case we shall go ahead and access the dunder call method. So this is going to have a lot of attributes, but it will return our HTTP authorization credentials or none in case they are not got. So once we have these credentials, we can just simply say that the return of this is going to be our credentials. So I'm just going to call them creds for short, and inside here is where we can split them and then try to do whatever we want with them. So in this case, I want to check if the provided token is an actual access token. So to begin, I'll have to just go ahead and split this. So I'll say print creds. So our creds is going to be creds dot. So let's just access the scheme for now, and then we can also get to access the credentials part, which is going to have our token. So I'll just come right here and say print. This is going to be creds dot credentials, So this will provide for us our token. Then once we've been able to do all that, we shall just simply go ahead and return our CRUDs. So in case we try to make a request again, we shall see what shall be logged. So I'll head over back to our REST folks. I'll provide our header, which shall be authorization. And then we shall provide the value of that header as bearer, and then our token. So I'll go ahead and provide our token. I'll copy the token that we have right here, and then I'll simply go ahead and provide it in here. So if we save and send this request, we shall see that we can now access our resources. But if we go within our terminal, then what shall be logged is going to be our token. So we're going to have our bearer, which is our scheme in this case, as well as our token. So our token in this case is going to be our token. So now we can access our token. So once we've been able to do this, then let's go ahead and basically decode our token and find out if our token is valid. So we wrote a specific method or a specific function which is within our util, and it's called a decode token. So what this is going to do is to decode the token, get the data out of the token, and check if whatever we want out of this token is valid. Now what we want to do is to check if this token is a valid access token. To do that, we're going to first of all import this function. So shall go at the top right here and say from source, or in this case it's going to be within our utils. So shall say from utils, we shall go ahead and import our decode token function, and we're going to create one function to check if our token is valid. So we shall just go ahead and call that our validate token, or let's say this is going to be token valid because it's going to return our boolean. So shall say token valid, and this is going to take in our token, but because it's a method, it will take in self. So we shall have our token, and then this token is going to be a string, but we shall return a boolean in case it's valid or not. So we can actually return a boolean of true or false depending on whether it's valid or not. So I'll just come right in here and say that we're going to access our token data by using our decode token function. So in this case, I'll say decode token, and then this will take in our token. And once we've provided our token, then the next thing is going to be for us to return true or false in case this token is valid. So shall just come right here. Remember that this function is going to return none in case our token is not valid. So we can do something like if our token data is not none, then we can go ahead and return true, else we can return false. So in this case we can return true, and in this case we can say else return false. We can also summarize this into something like return true in case our token data is not none, else false, which we can do like by doing something like, can just come and say, so this is going to check if our token is valid. Once we've been able to do this, now let's go ahead and authorize our users, or check if our user is valid or they are providing a valid access token. So to do this, our token is going to be found within credentials.credentials. So I'll go ahead and simply get rid of this, and then our token is going to be creds.credentials. So this shall give us access to our token. So shall check if our token is valid. So shall say if not, so in this case not token valid, then we shall throw the exception. So shall say if not token valid, then we shall raise an error. So this is going to be raise an HTTP exception, but remember this shall be accessed via self. So we shall say self dot token valid, and in this case we shall raise an HTTP exception. So I'll go at the top right here and say from FastAPI dot exceptions, we are going to go ahead and import the HTTP exception class. So once we've imported that, then we're simply going to go ahead and say that we are going to raise our HTTP exception and our status code. is going to be equal to status. So we're going to have to import this. So I'll go at the top right here and say that we're going to import our status. And once we've imported that, then we need to access the HTTP 403 forbidden, because we don't want them to access this. So we're going to come right here and say that our detail is going to be equal to invalid. So that shall be thrown in case we get any errors when decoding our token. So this is going to be invalid or expired token. And then it will return the credentials just in case they exist. But one thing we also need to check, since this is our access bearer token, so we need to go ahead and check if it's a valid token. So the way we're going to do that is by simply decoding our token and getting our token data. So we're going to come right here and say that our token data is going to be equal to decode token. And in our case, we shall basically get access to the token data from our token. Once we've got the token data, then I'm just simply going to go ahead and check if our token data refresh property or refresh attribute is false, is true, then that will be marked as a refresh token. So shall say something like if token data, so in this case token data, then in this case we shall get the refresh property. If token data refresh, meaning this is a refresh token, then we are going to raise an HTTP exception, but we shall tell them to provide an access token. So in this case we shall raise the exception, but the exception is going to be please provide a valid access token. So in this case we shall say please provide an access token. So that's just the check that we have done for our access tokens. Now we're going to also look at how we shall be verifying whether our token is a refresh token. It's going to almost be the same way, so we shall look at how we do that. So just in case we have been able to do that, then now we can go ahead and protect the rest of the endpoint. So I'll head over to our route for books, and then what I'll do is to just copy this dependency and provide it within our handlers for the remaining endpoints. So I'll just copy this and then go ahead and inject it within our routes. So just come and provide it right there. I'll do the same thing for this path. So just come right here and say that we are going to also have it in there. So I'll format our code, and then we can go ahead and simply return or inject this again. Then I'll go ahead and do the same thing for our delete book. So I'll provide it in there, format our code, and this is how it's going to look. Now another important thing that we can do is to simply return, instead of returning the token, we can go ahead and simply get the user details. So instead of returning our creds, just like we did here, what we can do is to return the token data we get out of decoding the token. So I'll just come right here and say we're going to return our token data. So that means we can get access to the user ID, and by doing so we can get access to the user details. So I'll go ahead and save. So once that is done, then we can simply go ahead and access the user details inside our routes by simply printing them out. So when you go back this side where we injected our user details, in case we want to access our user details, if I say print user details, then this shall go ahead and provide our user details. So I'll save, and then when you go back to our RESTFox here and try to make that request, in our terminal we shall see that we can access our user details. So in this case we know that our user is John Doe, their user ID is this, and the rest of the other things that are related to this specific token. So by doing so, we've been able to protect our tokens. Now in the next video, we're going to be looking at how we can generate new access tokens to allow users to extend their session within our application. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.